For almost 100 years, the real creator of Batman was erased from history. He died with eviction notices on his door and zero recognition, while someone else collected millions in royalties and took all of the credit. This isn't just Batman's origin story, it's a story about creative theft, systematic erasure, and one family's fight for justice. So there's not gonna be a lot of joking in this one. So it's the spring of 1939 in New York City, and Bob Kane is age 23 working for DC Comics. And his editor has news. Superman is a hit, and they need more superheroes fast. And Kane agrees immediately. Years later, he admits on camera what motivated him.
And in those days, in 39, they were making $800 a piece a week. I said, for that kind of money, you'll have it on Monday.
For that kind of money, you'd be the superhero.
Well, you better believe it. I'll steal it somewhere.
So he goes home and sketches the Batman. He's a guy in a red jumpsuit with a tiny domino mask with blonde hair, stiff bat wings that is glued to his back and on his arm. Kane knows it is terrible, so he walks to his friend's apartment in the Bronx. This friend is a 24-year-old struggling writer named Bill Finger. Now, Bill's been ghostwriting Kane's Superman knockoff strip for months, and of course, with no credit. But Kane shows him the sketch, and Bill starts imagining a different Caped Crusader. He says, lose the red, it feels like Superman. Make it gray and black, a bat is a creature of the night. That mask, let's get rid of it, it's too small. Make it a cowl that covers his whole face. Let's put pointed ears on it so it has a bat silhouette. Use capes instead of stiff wings. Kane draws while Bill talks, and the costume transforms in real time. But it's not just the costume that transforms. Bill says something that changes everything. This character needs trauma. Make him witness his parents' murder as a child and make him swear an oath to fight crime. Make it personal. Bill not only invented the traumatic origin story that every superhero would copy for the next 80 years, but I think you can agree he invented Batman as we know him today. Yet most people don't know his name, and that's because of what Bob Kane did next. So Kane takes the new design to National Allied Publications, and they love it. They offer him a contract immediately. But here's one of the first of many choices that Bob makes to actively erase Bill. In 1939, a work-for-hire contract is standard. Most companies owe what you create and your name disappears. But Kane's father understood contracts, and so together they negotiated something completely different. Kane retains creator credit, his name on every story, royalties on everything, comics, merchandise, adaptations, everything says created by Bob Kane. The contract names Bob Kane as Batman's sole creator, and Bill Finger isn't mentioned anywhere. Kane signs it and takes the deal home and decides not to tell Bill about the contract details. Bill just assumes they're working for work for hire. And the sad irony is the first Batman story. The opening panel reads, "His identity remains unknown." Bill wrote that line about Batman, but it became his own prophecy. Because over the next 27 years, Bill writes hundreds of stories. He invents Gotham City, named after a jewelry store he found in the Yellow Pages. He creates the Joker, Catwoman, Penguin. He defines a dark gothic tone that sets the scene for Batman. He even creates the Dark Knight moniker. But every story still has the same byline: by Bob Kane. Meanwhile, Bob Kane isn't doing shit. He hires ghost artists and ghost writers, including Bill, to continue making Batman while he collects the checks and takes all of the interviews. And this continues for nearly 3 decades. But the erasure went deeper than one lie about a stinking contract. Now, in the 1940s, while Bill is working from his apartment, chain smoking and missing deadlines because he's perfecting every script, Batman becomes a cultural phenomenon. Kane starts appearing on talk shows, magazine interviews, public events, comic cons, you name it. In every place, he tells the same story everywhere. I created Batman in my living room. I thought about bats, and I made the costume. And never once did he mention Bill's name. And here's what makes this so calculated. This isn't about the contract anymore, because the contract already gave Kane legal ownership. He could have at least said, Bill and I created Batman together, but I own the rights. Instead, he actively erased Bill from the narrative, even when Bill tried to get the credit. In a sketchy hotel, there's a New York Comic-Con. It's so sketchy that the hotel literally collapsed a few months later. Bill makes what's probably his first and only ever public appearance. After 27 years of creating Batman, on the panel, he tells his truth. And afterwards, a fan named Jerry Bales publishes a 2-page article titled, "If the Truth Be Known, a Finger in Every Plot." It's the first written piece crediting Bill as co-creator. But the moment Kane sees it, he writes a 6-page rebuttal calling the claims fraudulent and entirely untrue. Quote, "I conceived the Batman figure and the costume entirely by myself. Bill Finger is taking credit for much more than he deserves." So not only did Kane take the rights for himself, not acknowledge Bill at any point, but then he publicly called Bill a liar to protect himself, and it just keeps getting worse. See, when the Batman TV show premieres, it became a cultural phenomenon. Bob Kane became wealthier beyond wealthier than anybody could ever imagine, and that same year, DC Comics fires Bill Finger. And his crime was asking for health insurance after 27 years. I guess a small silver lining is that Bill saw his name associated with Batman once. He got the chance to write 2 episodes for the 1966 TV series, co-written by his friend Charles Sinclair. Bill asked Sinclair if his name can appear first in the writer's credits just once. And when it airs, Sinclair later says it was the high point of his creative life. 2 episodes is the total recognition Bill Finger received in his lifetime. And I think we can agree he did not get the recognition he deserved. And on January 18th, 1974, Charles Sinclair goes to Bill's apartment after days of not being able to reach him, and there's eviction notices on the door. Mr. Sinclair lets himself in. Bill's on the sofa, television still on. He had a heart attack at 59 years old. No New York Times obituary, no funeral. Bill's son claims the body and has him cremated. He drives to the Oregon coast, spreads the ashes on the beach in the shape of a bat, and watches the waves wash it away. In contrast, when Bob Kane dies, he's worth $10 million, and his gravestone reads, "Blessed with divine inspiration, Bob created a legacy known as Batman. Bob Kane, Bruce Wayne, Batman, they are one in the same." Kane claimed to be Batman on his gravestone. $10 million versus ashes washed into the Pacific Ocean. This is what systematic erasure looks like. For years, Bill's son Fred tried to get his father's name in the credits, but every time he tried, he was met with failure. That 1939 contract was ironclad. And Fred died in 2011, never achieving recognition for his father. And it seemed that getting credit for Bill Finger was a dead end, because you needed an heir at the very least to get any credit rights. And at the time, Fred was believed to be gay and childless, so the Finger family would end there. And that would have been it, except one man changed everything. This is Mark Tyler Nobleman. He's a children's book author who uncovered most of this research we're talking about today, and most of the footage coming from his documentary, Batman and Bill. Check it out on Hulu. Either way, Mark started asking a different question. What if Fred had a child no one knew about? Everybody he talked to said there's no way Fred was gay, and for years of research, dead ends after dead ends, false leads here and there, and then a nephew gives him a tip. Fred had a daughter born 2 years after Bill died. Nobleman finds her on MySpace. Her name is Athena Finger. She knows her grandfather worked on Batman, and she didn't even know the whole story. So Nobleman tells her everything: the creation, the contract, the lies, the poverty, the erasure. She agrees to fight, not for money, because the statute of limitations had passed decades ago on royalties. She wanted her grandfather's name in the credits. She wanted justice. They were stonewalled for a while, but after 34 rejections, Nobleman finally got to publish Bill the Boy Wonder, the secret co-creator of Batman. And he doesn't stop, and he talks any chance that he can. Articles, panels at Comic-Con, TED Talks, everything he can do to build public pressure, he does. Meanwhile, Athena and her attorney, half-sister, began negotiating with DC Entertainment and Warner Brothers. And when Gotham premieres, it was the perfect storm, because Nobleman uses this leverage to point out the show's credits, The only aspect of Batman created by Bill Finger, whose name will not be in the credits, are basically everything iconic about Batman, including the name Gotham itself. And this tweet goes viral. Suddenly, thousands are asking who the hell is Bill Finger? Now, the batarang that broke the Robin's back was the secret weapon in the lawyer's utility belt, copyright law. I know it sounds boring, but this is very smart, actually. After 56 years, a creator could reclaim rights to the character, and Bill died in 1974. By 2015, that window was opening, but that would take years and millions of dollars against the giant corporation Warner Brothers. But instead, they did something smart. They made DC think they would litigate. They highlighted enough legal risks to force negotiation, and it was a total bluff. But would it work? On September 18, 2015, a new credit line was announced: Batman created by Bob Kane with Bill Finger. Every Batman comic, every film, every TV show, every video game started immediately with Season 2 of Gotham and Batman v Superman, but Bill never saw it. He died thinking the world would never know his name. DC fought Athena for years before finally agreeing to credit. And they didn't do it because it was right. They did it because the public pressure became too great and because they were brave enough to bluff. Even though justice was served for Bill, this is still happening today, right now. Comic creators and beyond are working under the same work-for-hire contracts that Bill signed in 1939. How many other creators will resist creating something new and exciting for a company in fear of being erased? How many stories and characters are we losing because of these rules in place to protect companies over creatives? It's not much we can do, I don't know, but I think it's important to highlight because Bill's story proves one person noticing injustice can change history. And most importantly, never stop asking questions and fight for what you believe in. Okay, thank you very much for watching. If you want to read some manga-inspired comics where creators actually get their credit, check out my comic books at heycomics.com. If you want another video, click this one on the screen. YouTube says you'll like it, so click it and see if they're right. Thanks for hanging out. Hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.